I know this sounds insane, but imagine setting up a camera in your kitchen to find out who's stealing your food and discovering it's you, in different clothes. That was my life last month, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Before I tell you what actually happened and how I found the truth, here's the deal. For weeks, something was eating my food at night. Not just a snack here and there, I mean entire meals were vanishing. I started doubting my memory. Then I started doubting my sanity. So I set up a recording system to catch the thief. And what I found changed the way I look at myself, my sleep, and honestly, my reality. Stick around, because it gets weirder than you think. So let's rewind to the start. I live alone in a small apartment. Nothing fancy, nothing haunted, or at least I thought. My job keeps me working late, and I usually heat up leftovers when I get home. One Thursday night, I came home starving and opened the fridge, expecting to see a full tray of leftover lasagna I'd cooked the night before. Instead, it was gone. Completely. Not a crumb. And I remembered putting it there. I remember looking at it and thinking, nice, that'll save me cooking tomorrow. At first, I figured maybe I ate more than I thought. We've all had those late dinners where your brain is too tired to remember. No big deal. Then the next night, it happened again. A whole container of slow-cooked beef gone. And that's when the maths stopped adding up. I know how much I eat. I might forget to water plants and let emails collect like they're Pokemon, but I do not accidentally eat an entire dinner and forget about it 2 nights in a row. Of course, once something weird happens, your brain plays detective. I began thinking the wild thoughts. Did someone break in? Was someone living in my walls like those stories online? Did a neighbor get spare keys somehow? I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I also didn't want to be stupid. So the next day, I checked the front door frame for marks nothing. I checked windows locked, sealed. And then my brain went to the worst possible villain, myself. Had I gotten up in the middle of the night and done this without realizing? Here's the thing. I had never sleepwalked in my life. Not as a kid, not as a teen, never. And I always thought sleepwalking was something you either had when you were young, or not at all. But I googled it, and turns out, adults can sleepwalk too. About 3.6% of adults have sleepwalking episodes at some point in their lives, according to research from Stanford, and stress can trigger it. And I've been stressed, like mentally microwaved. Still, Googling wasn't proof. I needed to know. So I did what any sane person does when they suspect something crazy. I bought cameras. I set up 2 small motion-activated cameras, one facing the fridge, one in the hallway. Nothing high-tech, just enough to catch a burglar, a hungry raccoon with lock-picking skills, or myself. I knew how ridiculous the idea was, but it gave me peace of mind. That night I cooked again. A big meal. Enough that if it disappeared, I'd have confirmation. I put it on the middle shelf of the fridge, and even taped a small piece of paper on the container. Still here? If that note was gone in the morning, I'd know something was up. I went to bed, thinking I wouldn't sleep, but I knocked out fast. And when I woke up the next day, the fridge was almost empty. Chicken, rice, and half the potatoes gone. But the note was missing too. That was the moment my heart dropped into my socks. I grabbed the camera footage, sat down, and pressed play. The living room was dark. Everything was still. Then, at around 3:23 a.m., motion detection kicked in. Someone walked down the hallway. Me, but not like me. I had a blank face, almost like a mannequin. My eyes were half open, but there was no awareness there, and I wasn't wearing what I'd gone to bed in. I had on an old hoodie and sweatpants I hadn't worn in months. I walked slowly, opened the fridge, and started eating, like a zombie at a buffet. No microwave, no heating, just straight from the container with a fork I got from the drawer. I watched myself finish half the food, close the fridge, drop the fork into the sink, and shuffle away into the darkness. There was no personality, no hesitation, no thought, just this mechanical movement, like someone pressing autopilot on my body. My stomach turned. Seeing yourself doing something you have zero memory of, that hits different. Now here's where it got even stranger. I checked more footage, and it wasn't the first time. Over the past 4 nights, I had sleepwalked 3 times, different clothes each night. Sometimes eating at the counter, sometimes sitting at the table. One night, I even poured myself juice, like it was a normal Tuesday. I wasn't being robbed, I was the robber. At first, I wanted to laugh. The kind of nervous laugh you do when you don't know whether to freak out or call a priest. But the deeper it sank in, the more unsettling it became. I needed to figure out what triggered it. So I started tracking everything. Sleep time, food, stress, caffeine, screen time, and a pattern started forming. The nights I slept the worst were the nights I sleepwalked. Makes sense. Studies show adults who have sleep disorders, like insomnia, are much more likely to have episodes. And I had been sleeping like garbage for months. But that didn't explain the clothes. Why was I changing? Sleep specialists say sleepwalkers sometimes perform routine tasks if their brain tries to complete a normal habit during partial wakefulness, which meant my half-asleep brain treated midnight eating like a normal lifestyle. Activity, including dressing up for it. Imagine having a dream so vivid that your body actually acts it out. That's basically what parasomnia is, your brain stuck between dreaming and waking. I didn't want this to continue. It's funny, until you accidentally set the kitchen on fire or leave the front door open at 3 a.m. And I didn't want to become one of those news stories like, man walks 8 miles in sleep, ends up in Walmart buying Pop-Tarts. So I made changes. First, I moved to a fixed schedule in bed by the same time every night. No screens an hour before. I cut caffeine after 3 p.m, started evening showers to calm down, and I put a cheap chain latch on the bedroom door. If I got up at night, it would at least slow me down long enough to wake up. Then, just to be safe, I put camera alerts on my phone. If I ever triggered the hallway sensor after midnight, my phone would buzz and hopefully wake me. But here's the surprising part. Once I got consistent sleep, the episodes stopped. Not tapered down, not reduced. Stopped. No more filming myself zombie snacking at 3 a.m. No more waking up to empty containers. No more accidentally burning through a week's worth of groceries in 48 hours. I even started waking up rested for the first time in months. Watching those recordings taught me something huge. You never really know what your brain is capable of when it's exhausted. And most of us walk around tired every day thinking it's normal. We laugh off bad sleep like it's no big deal. But your brain is like a computer. Force it to run too long, without powering down, and eventually, it starts glitching. In my case, the glitch looked like midnight lasagna crimes. I won't lie, I kept the footage. Not because I want to make it a YouTube short someday, but because it's a good reminder of what happens when you ignore small problems for too long. Now, do I still worry it might happen again someday? A little. But I also know the signs now, and I know how to handle it. And maybe the biggest thing, I'm not scared of it anymore. Sleepwalking isn't horror movie stuff for most people. It's a medical condition, and once you understand it, it's manageable. Still, I cannot describe the feeling of watching yourself walk around with no memory. It's like seeing a version of you that exists in a parallel universe. Familiar, but not quite conscious. And that stick in your throat kind of discomfort is something I'll never forget. If anything like this ever happens to you, food disappearing, lights on you don't remember turning on, messages typed while you slept, don't panic. But don't ignore it either, because the truth might be simpler, stranger, and closer than you think. Actually, it might be you.